You're listening to The Real Short Box, a comic book podcast made for geeks by geeks.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and listening. We are The Real Short Box. My name is Donald. I'm here with Kevin, Chris, and one very special guest, Mr. Seth Diggs. Seth, thank you for joining us, sir.
Mr. Diggs.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Mr.
Kevin,
Diggs.
Kevin's
you got a
too
cool
excited.
Name, sir. You got a cool name, sir.
Are you digging it?
I am all the time. I dig things.
Oh,
You
that's
got
good.
You have the diggiest of names, sir.
Yeah, Seth digs it.
Yeah. You're going to have to dig your way out of this podcast.
I feel like it's coming.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. And the reason why I feel like you need to dig your way out of something is because we're talking. What's the topic here, Kevin? What is it?
You know, these days people are complaining, not everybody, but some people are complaining that movies and TV shows are too woke.
Oh man, I've got so much to say on this one. So much to say. I'm tired of women. Wait, what? No.
What'd you say? Huh?
I'm joking.
And
Obviously,
our view count just went down to like 2.
0. No. Let me explain this. There's this toxicity that's arisen specifically, in my opinion, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU.
I think it's Disney in general, but yeah.
And I think that a lot of that has to do with Brie Larson, aka Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Her performance as that character was so, unfortunately, it was wooden and very stoic and very unemotional in the first film and the several Avengers films that came after, that people felt that most of the female characters were portrayed in a very negative light, and therefore not somebody, in other words, she wasn't somebody you would want to get beers with after you save the world. You know, everybody would rather go with Wolverine or Captain America or Iron Man. Although I'd watch Iron Man, he probably tends to have a little too much, I would think, based upon his comic book world experience. But a lot of people felt that the female characters in the MCU were done in a negative way. It created some type of weird perfect storm of toxicity, particularly, I would say, male toxicity, that made female characters in the MCU unappealing, to the point where even She-Hulk, before she even came out, people were talking shit about the character. And then once it landed, immediately people hated it. And it's just
to be fair, they did have her dancing a jig in an office.
Yeah, but that was like 3 or 4 episodes in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people hated it well before that, I would say.
They got canceled.
Basically, yeah. So there's this
got pre-canceled. Yeah.
There's this wokeness that I would say that, like, it's tough, because I guess it's a double-edged sword, is what you could call it, really. You could definitely want more diversity within a world, within characterization. But then at one point, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, at one point you have to ask yourself, does the essence of the character, is that enough? Or do you need the facade as well? Do you need the exact look of said character in order to retain some form of, I don't know, communication with the fans? Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it does. I don't know if you always need the facade to match what you see in comic books. I mean, movies in essence are the suspension of reality, right? So why can't we just suspend a little bit more, especially when we're talking about like a new age mythos? You know, you're talking about a whole new system of ideas and thoughts and stories that are being contrived just for the enjoyment of people, the readers, you know, and then consequently the viewers of movies and stuff. So, like, no, you don't always have to have the same facade that you see in movies. I feel like it happens all the time. For all the DC fans out there, I know we said MCU, but DC fans, Barry, the Flash, he's changed up, quite a bit from his original concept to the Arrowverse Flash to the actual cinematic Flash.
Mhm.
Right? So the outside packaging doesn't always have to match what the original concept is. Same thing with Starfire. Original concept, Teen Titans Go, then DC's Titans.
Look, look.
And
Okay,
Blue Beetle.
I need my Starfire to be orange. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
I just feel like there's that part, but then there's also like, okay, she could also just have red hair, and we could be satisfied with that.
Right? Yeah,
yeah.
it could be okay. It could be okay.
I don't think there's an issue too much with changing gender or changing race. The problem I feel with, especially with Disney in general, more than most studios, is they're literally pandering and having. I feel like there is a, like they're actually doing it on purpose. Like everything has to have click these boxes. Like it has to have this. It has to have this. It has to have this. Like, and you see it more and more and more. Like everything has to have somebody of color, somebody like a woman in power, homosexual, stuff like that. And it's like and they're doing it for no good reason. If there's a good reason for it, then yes, it's like the actor's the best actor or fits the character or something like that. But just a lot of these movies are just doing it to click boxes, and that's the issue I feel that they have right now at Disney.
So you think that, let's say, for example, there's a television series and they have a gay male as the best friend, and you're like, that doesn't work for me. The best friend needs to be a female that's gay or a female that's straight.
No,
And
if
in
it's
which case, how does that equate in your mind is what I want to know. Like where give me an example where this took place, and then I can maybe place it a little better in my head.
well, like it's like if it's the character's written that way, that's one thing. I'm saying there's like they will put in small characters just to tick that box. Like I feel like Doctor Who did it.
Okay. You're talking about Special One that came out recently with
Yes.
David Tennant, correct?
Yes.
And in which case, they created a companion character named Rose, just like David Tennant had in the original 10th Doctor run. But in the 14th Doctor run, Rose happens to be Donna's, I'm doing air quotations, daughter, in which case Donna's daughter is a trans woman that is from a marriage of Donna with a gentleman, and they had a daughter that's trans. And I get that to a point. I don't have a problem so much with the fact that the daughter is trans.
I have
My
no problem
issue-
with that. No
My
problem with
issue
that.
was the storytelling of it. Is they said, oh well, we're non.
Binary.
It created a split between the two people, so we're no longer binary. We're non-binary. They literally wrote an explanation of how they saved the world based upon the fact that her daughter was non-binary.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about
And it created this they created the definition of the saving as the character of who that character was, and I thought that was a bit odd, and that did throw me.
Yeah.
But the rest of the special was fantastic. I thought it was really well done, but that absolutely did throw me. I will agree there.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. It didn't need to be there. It felt like it was just them checking boxes. I know that wasn't really Disney, even though Disney owns it, and it was still a BBC show. In fact, Disney was
Does
apparently
Disney
pissed.
own Doctor Who now?
They do, yes.
What?
When
Yeah,
did this happen?
that's how they looks better. They got a bigger budget now because they got Disney budget. Why the
That's gross.
TARDIS is bigger now.
I don't like it.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like I don't have any issue with sexuality or being binary, non-binary. The issue is if it feels like it's checking boxes to me.
In fact, if you will ask Chris to dress as a woman, he will do it any time you ask, any day of the week.
I love doing it when I'm actually my full beard. That's the best.
And for those of you who don't know, we did do a web series called The Blue Beetle Ted Cord Returns. And in it, Chris played a character called Dr. Hypnovert. And he pissed me off. I think it was in season 1. And I said, if you piss me off again, Chris, I'm going to write you in as a woman. And he did. And I did. And then he became Hypnotica, aka the female version of Dr. Hypnovert.
And I didn't complain once. I loved it. It was so much fun.
You did.
That dress was comfortable.
We found a very comfortable dress. It's true. Like, we went out and found you something that worked, and baby, you worked it. Let me tell you.
But I mean, it's true. I mean, like South Park did an episode, like a special TV special movie called Into the Pandaverse, where literally they call out Kathleen Turner.
Kennedy.
Kathleen Turner. She's a different situation. Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy. For all the pandering that she's doing with Disney, like, and they literally like do all these different multiverses, and they go into a multiverse where the boys are replaced by teenage girls. And Eric Cartman, the most racist of all, is a young African American woman.
That's got to drive Eric Cartman nuts.
Yes, it is. And they call it's, but that's the thing. So it's like, there's certain parts that they'll just like, it's not like something is written or something is happening and they'll change something just because they have to have these box checked, not because it was the right thing to do. Like this actor, like so many times, like you have this actor who's in because of their skin color, which I hate saying this, but they're a terrible actor. I'm like, oh, I see. They got in because they were checking boxes, stuff like that.
So we have an inclusionary thing, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And not to call anybody out, but Kevin and Seth, for example, you two gentlemen have a different tone to your skin than Chris and I do. So you perhaps have a different perspective in this. And I would like to know, particularly growing up, like you guys watched probably similar things like maybe Thundercats, He-Man, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, stuff like that. Watching those kinds of things, those types of cartoons, Saved by the Bell, stuff like that. Did you feel a little left out, or did you think that maybe other things could have been included in there, or did you feel like really it didn't matter? Like and I'm just talking about that. And then when you mention that, if you want to go further into how you feel about now, that is fine too.
Well, you mentioned Thundercats. I kind of knew that Panther. I kind of knew Panther was a brother.
High five. Absolutely.
And the fact that he was like the smartest of the Thundercats. He was like the engineer, the architect. You know, he built Cat's lair, the Thunder Tank. I mean, shoot, Panthro gave us so much pride. Would you agree, Seth?
Absolutely. And I think it was also done kind of tongue in cheek that he was a Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you learned later, wait, he actually is black.
Black Panther. I get it. Yeah. Absolutely. That I did not make that connection. Panthro, by the way, was my favorite character too when growing up, particularly because he had the what was it, the Catmobile, or whatever they called it, the Thunder Tank. Yeah. Fucking crushed it. And he had the nunchucks.
Yep.
Like before Michelangelo made it cool, he made it cool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like Tigra.
You would.
You mean Chitara?
The girl Chitara?
Wasn't there a tiger guy named Tiger?
Oh, yeah, Tiger.
There was Tiger.
He had the bullet whip.
Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, he was cool.
I guess.
The character I found the most annoying was Snarf.
Snarf. Snarf.
And there we have it. No, but to answer the question a little bit more, like that was a prime example of not really caring, but knowing that there was some representation there. across other things, I was a kid. I was watching cartoons. I didn't know about this stuff. I didn't really care.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was blue, orange, some fantastical color, and really didn't look like me anyway. Or they were in space, or they were underwater.
They're Care Bears.
Or they were Care Bears, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they were Silverhawks, And so, like, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. They're flying through space, and they've got the Monstars and Moonstars and All Stars, or whatever
Monstar. You're right. You called it.
And I was like, that's what I'm here for. That's what I want to see. It didn't really become like apparent to me until maybe the X-Men cartoon on Fox, and I was like, Storm. Yeah, Storm. I get you, Storm. I see your strife. I see your trauma. I see and I get it. But to the earlier bit about like companies, corporations, large production houses checking boxes, it's definite. It definitely happens. And it's never something that you want to take credit from the performers or the actors about. It's always production. That's where it lives. The actors could do whatever. They can do a bunch of things. I believe in their versatility, no matter who they are. But when they're cast in a role that could go anywhere, anyhow, do we need to rely on non-traditional casting all the time? I don't know. Am I a proponent for it? Yes, because I think it's really cool to see different people do different things and be cast in places where they wouldn't ordinarily be cast. So does it matter to me now more than it did when I was a kid? Sure it does. It sure does, because it gives kids now something and someone else to look at that might look more like them, someone that they might relate to a little bit more, and might inspire them to go down a different path or into a different career. So it's actually kind of important, more so now than I think before.
Plus, one thing you have to understand, the term woke too is kind of also misinterpreted. The original interpretation was just simply being aware and knowing what's going on in the community. That was it.
It's become a negative connotation now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that sometimes people will take terminology and warp it to their thought process, and then it catches on and it becomes something. Okay, so this is going to be a little controversial, but let's talk the swastika.
Right.
The swastika was originally not intended to have any type of evil connotations behind it. It was
Indian. It was Indian.
Right. There was nothing there until Adolf and the Nazi Party got a hold of the idea of the swastika and thought, let's warp this to our own thought process, our own feelings, and our own agenda. And then it became something more evil, something triggering, to people. Many people. It's so much so right now that if you drew that on anything, you're part of that now.
Yep.
Like you're part of that evil. You're part of that misalignment.
If you name your kid Adolf, that's good.
Even if you, oh my God, yes. If you name a child Adolf or like anything like that, it's just terrible. And in fact, I just went to Germany last year, 2022, and interestingly enough, like it is there's still so much Adolf Hitler there, as far as like you have the ghost of Hitler. You have this kind of over your shoulder all the time, no matter where you're going or where you're looking in Germany. There's this thought, and there's so much sorrow and apologeticness, if that's even a term, from the German people of what took place prior, because nobody there is really alive anymore to have known the full process to understand it. They're all, were children or very young, and those that are still alive, and then the rest of them never even existed. So it's like, I'm sorry for what happened in my country, but I'm not part of that. But I want you to know I understand what went down, and I feel bad for it, but I can't do anything to change the past. I can only look forward. And I think that as a people is what we need to look at, whether it be in general and political speaking or in film and television. We can't so much apologize over and over for the past and think that that's going to come across. We need to look forward in how we can change what happened in the past and how we can move past that. And the wokeness, and I'm using air quotations, I think should be a part of the fact that not necessarily in like Kevin was saying, not necessarily in a negative connotation, but like in a positive force of being awakened. And I think maybe we ought to change that from woke to awakened. We have awakened from being woke. We have awakened from being pigeonholed. We have been awakened from being marginalized, and we are looking towards how we can balance that. We don't want the dark side. We don't want the force. We want the gray. We want in between. We want that balance that shows that we understand both sides of the force, so to speak. And I think Kevin can get behind this in a little way.
Yes. My Master Yoda would be very pleased with what you just said.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think woke became a very negative connotation when cancel culture got a hold of it and turned it into their agenda, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. If we take the word back and make it positive again.
Yeah,
I think that's a common tactic. You take something that's meant for good and then you flip it and weaponize it against the very population that's using it for good. You want to now say, "Oh, this is bad," when that was never the case. It was never the case. It was about, hey, be present, be aware of things, and know.
Be in the moment.
Right.
And I think that's where the pivoting comes in my eyes. I think that it will take too long to try to take the word back from somebody that's already taken it from you, so to speak. So pivot and go, okay, motherfucker, you want to say woke is negative? How about awakened? How about we go with that? Now we're awakened.
And so that can
we'll,
a connotation.
Right. And we'll yeah. But listen, you piece of shit, not you, Kevin, but in general, we will evolve. We will move on from that, and we'll create a new word, a new terminology. We'll create a new way of being that'll be beyond your bullshit, and we'll keep going. No matter how you try to turn it, we're going to keep going. And I think that's the most important thing.
I think just to be tongue-in-cheek also, we should start using the most absurd words possible to trigger, this negative flip. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I remember was like Snoop Dogg. Some of you remember that term, like for shizzle.
Oh yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
For shizzle, yeah. For shizzle my nizzle, right?
Something like that, yeah.
You're not allowed to say that, Donald.
I'm not?
Take it. We should take
the nizzle.
Oh, I didn't know. I can't say the nizzle part?
We should put them out in the same way, and then everybody would use that. And then when you hear political pundits on whatever outlets and they're using from their soapbox.
All right, so right here, right now, let's come up with a word.
I did this.
Come with a wild term, huh?
All right. Okay. So what are we doing? Are we changing the terminology for woke? We're going to try to come up with another word.
I'm feeling supple today, Seth. I'm feeling supple today.
Supple.
That's
you know what? No. There's a collective effervescence.
Ah, yes.
Very moist.
Yes.
There's a collective effervescence. Yeah, I'm there with you. Supple and effervescence. Those are the two that we're using from now on.
Supple. How about a supple effervescence?
A supple effervescence. Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be funny to see someone on CNN or MSNBC or Fox use that. It'd be hilarious.
I don't think people on Fox could say those words.
Probably not. We're feeling this conversation. There's quite a lot of supple effervescence that's taking place right now, and I appreciate you for that. I think we got it.
Go. Yep.
I'm gonna write this down. Supple. Well, actually, I already wrote that down. I've been writing that down the whole time. I love the word supple.
Supple.
Society's gone supple.
I spelled effervescence wrong, but I don't care. It's not about the spelling, it's about the meaning, damn it.
There you go.
There we go. Well, with that, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We are the Real Short Box. I'm Donald here with Chris, Kevin, and Seth. Thank you all for being a part of this. And I want to thank you guys for listening to us. You can turn into us on, you can turn us on too on, how about Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, basically you name it, we will be on there. And if we're not on there, reach out to us, let us know, and we will get on that platform for you. So that being said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this. And we don't see you out and about anytime soon. Perhaps we'll see you
at the flexible, graceful, but always supple comic book shop.
So much effervescence in the room.
This has been The Real Short Box. We'll see you at the comic shop. Thanks for listening.